and I love all methods and means of building that, next level of immersion. If you followed a lot of the other channels and communities out there, people are building these like dedicated rooms that
Hmm.
have like illuminated tables and massive amounts of special effects with fog machines and lighting,
So
and
cool.
oftentimes they're burning a candle that would represent a general theme of, let's say, the campaign or something like that. Candles are off. No slights to candles because that was part of it. But along the way, when you burn a candle, there are some elements that you just have to be aware of. Obviously, it's a flame. It has a wax component that stays liquid and doesn't, easily transport. And there's also been recently, unfortunately, some kind of science behind the paraffin wax and the materials that carry scent into the air not being 100% safe. So these were all things that were in the background, although we had personally burned candles and incense,
Of course.
throughout all of our experiences. Yeah, we got exposed to this dry wave scent technology, and it uses just an ambient flow of air, these infused pellets that are IFRA compliant and very safe. They don't require a carrier aerosol or wax or something along that line to project the scent into the room. But more importantly, is in attaching that really small scent molecule to the air molecule, it dissipates quickly. So within 5 to 7 minutes, in a 10 by 12 room with normal airflow, you can dissipate the scent, and that means it can become a special effect. So the game master can prep a, a, a a play session with an environment smell, which is very common. Candles do that, like the forest of wherever. But with ours, they can start off with something like a forest, and then within the narrative of that campaign explanation of what you're doing, let that scent settle, and then start to introduce scent notes without any fanfare. And that's a really big part of what we're building. It's not something every time a scent comes out, people should stop and like say, "What is that smell?" It's
Right.
kind of as you build a narrative, they start to realize these different scents. So you can have a goblin or a troll or a dragon, any number of scents that the first time you smell it, you may not recognize it directly, but as the campaign time and time again
I
exposes the
boosted it.
players, they'll really be able to know the scent of a red dragon versus the scent of a copper dragon. So that's what dry wave scent technology allows, is this dynamic use of scent that's closer to sound and lights, and then how the DMs are going to use it. We're just so blown away by all the great ideas that have been sent into us.
That's amazing. That was actually going to be one of my questions is how easy is it to switch out scents so that, you're having a scene in a tavern and all of a sudden you realize that you've been smelling beer for 3 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. Those ones like that environment sense. The library right now is 52 core scents that include monsters, creatures, environments, and then what we call the in the air collection, and that's kind of like the scent of victory or the scent of fear. Things that would be not described by a environment or a creature or monster, but more like a condition in the
Hmm.
game. So we had a lot of different ways that we wanted to attach ourselves to the games, and having yourself go from a tavern setting into an outside setting, or even staying in a city. Let's say you could go from a tavern setting to a blacksmith, and there would be different scent notes
Right.
that the DM in that campaign preset mode. The scent engine mini 8 holds 8 scent vials, so you're able to predetermine as the game master kind of how you want the game to go over the night, and you can say, I'm going to have these 8 different scent events pre-queued in our app and in the engine loaded, and then the device can be under the table, on the side of the table, or it can be prominently displayed, because it's very quiet and the DM only has to hit a single button, then the scent is released into the room. So if you want your players to be surprised by something, you can say you enter into a cave, it seems unoccupied, but you release at the same time an orc smell. And the players
Ha ha
say, wow,
ha.
there's this smell of orc. And if they identify it and roll dice, they can take initiative or all sorts of mechanisms that can be home brewed for rules that can be entered in for
Sure.
identifying a scent. So some people are good at it, by the way. They like in a short order recognize the different scent notes as different creatures, and that's been a really interesting thing to watch.
Yeah, I saw one of your TikToks. I think somebody was doing that, trying to guess what the scent was, and he seemed really good at it.
Yeah, yeah. There are kind of times that your players in a campaign might get the same, antagonists. It's
Mm-hmm.
creatures. They're fighting lizard men or minotaur or whatever it would be, and they'll get more familiarized with it. But sometimes it'll take the DM kind of using it as part of the explanation to the story.
Right.
Again, like I said, the range of scents in our core, it's pretty broad. I would say that like 70% are ranged from good smelling to interesting smelling, and that's mostly like the environments
Yeah.
in the air, some of the friendlier creatures.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get the back end of the library, which is that 30% to go from interesting to like, oh my gosh, that's like so not what you want as a home air freshener.
That's amazing though. Like I can't tell you how many times my husband and I are big fantasy fans. We're also big horror fans. And I can't tell you how many times we've been watching a horror movie and been like, that would smell so bad.
Oh yeah, that was a huge factor. You know, we built this in two people could not possibly come up with all of this decision making. So we created and we can go into a little bit more later, but we've created what's called the Scent Syndicate, and it's a group of people in the Southern California to start off area, and then expanding outside of that. That as we developed the different scent notes for like what does a red dragon smell like? Like what does a red dragon smell like? And people could say, oh, it smells like a lizard cage, which is not a great smell. So we didn't want it to be though, oh, fire giants smell like cinnamon. That
Right.
also isn't what we wanted to do. So it's better than that. We wanted to get into some real earth tones, musks, scents that are outside of the normal candle ranges to define these and make identifiable scents. But it is interesting to, say some of them are enjoyable. Like truly, you're like, oh, I love the smell of elves. They really do smell great. And then some people are like, dwarves, as great as elves. But it's been a lot of fun building the team to get those scents together. So each one we send out 4 formulas to groups of people, and we get their input and just kind of vote 1, 2, 3, 4, rate them from 1 to 4. And then through that consensus, we've been able to build this library of smells from fantasy. And it's just building something from scratch is a lot of fun.
I think a lot of this community would agree. Lots of home brewers out there. Um,
Yes.
that's super cool. You can basically make a scent playlist for your
Yes,
session.
exactly.
That
Right.
is
That's the
incredible.
key.
I was wondering how that works. So you guys have an app that you run the
Yep.
device through?
Yeah, so it's a really, and one of the other things that we wanted to make sure is that we didn't create either paywalls, barriers, or in any way set ourselves up for being obsolescent. And having supporters, especially early supporters like there are right now, really have to believe in what you're doing as a small bootstrap startup. So one of the really fortunate things is Hans Hansen runs another company called Brand 3D, and he does all sorts of amazing 3D and web app related work that we were able to bring
Cool.
into our. Yes, and the key for us was not to have an app that was blocked by the app stores and all of their rules. So
Mm.
we're creating an open source web app that works just like an app and looks just like an app, but it accesses through a direct instead of having to qualify for all of.
Oh no. Looks like our call is getting a little bit interrupted here. Uh hopefully he comes back soon. Sorry about the audio, guys. We're still, this is our first interview, so had to figure everything out, make sure all the settings were good. So hopefully everything is definitely audible now. If you missed anything, definitely throw some questions in the chat, or if you're watching this later, throw them in the comments, and we'll definitely get in touch with Scott to get those answered for you. Let's see. Well, while we're taking a brief break to see if Scott can get back connected, sorry about that, you guys. Um, let me just remind you real quick. I'll go through housekeeping stuff. This is Grimstone Gaming's Level Up on Tuesday nights every other week. So next week, next Tuesday, we'll have our next episode of Tabletop Turntable. Hi, there you are. Can't hear you. Let me see if you're muted. Let me take care of that. Oh, it might be muted on your phone's end because I can't unmute you in Discord. Sorry for all the screens, guys. Still working, still working. So anyway, come back on Tuesday for Tabletop Turntable. And if you want a shirt like mine, you can go to our merch page, which is live at ttrpgswag.com/pages/Grimstone Gaming. And any purchase between now and August 18th is going to get you entered to win up to 10 shirts for you and your table. And I think because we just hit our 500 follower on TikTok giveaway, we just are sending out some digital content for that giveaway, and we're so excited about it. We're going to do another one. So we're going to add to TTRPG Swag's giveaway and say that if you send us a picture in your Grimstone swag that you bought from them by August 18th, we'll give you till the end of the month to send us your photos, give it some time to ship. If for some reason it doesn't get there, you can send us a screenshot of your receipt showing that you bought it before August 18th. If you do that, we'll enter you to win our giveaway too, which is going to be your choice of either a custom raptor claw necklace, which we'll show off a little bit more on our TikTok later, or a custom mini from our stash of minis by Michael Ray Williams. Hi, Scott. Welcome back.
You are an angel. I'm so sorry. My phone overheated. We're on our way to an event, and I had my phone put up on my steering wheel, and all of a sudden it just said overheated set temperature, and it blacked out. I'm so sorry.
Whew, no worries. I mean, global warming, am I right?
Yeah, it was in my car. Global warming right in my car. So anyway, I'm sorry. I forgot where we were at right there, but definitely can go back into some of the questions about developing it, or however you'd like to continue. Yeah. I'm so sorry.
No worries. So we were talking about the fact that you don't have to get through any sort of paywall to get to your app.
Yes.
So yes. How do people access that?
Yeah. So thank you again. With each Scent engine, people will get basically a QR code that'll take them to a web app. It's going to be an open source format. So this allows people who are creative to not only use what we are building and what we've built, which covers 3 of the use cases for the Scent engine, which is tabletop role-playing, like we mentioned, pre-setting kind of a playlist for a campaign. Then you can also do the same sort of things for Scent scripting movies through some really great use of AI prompting. It gets us around licensing rights so that if you have a library of, let's say, 20 different Scent vials, you can put in Harry Potter, one of the movies that you've liked, and it will give you, say, all out of these library scents that you have, here are 8 different locations in the movie that you could add a scent event. So like Lord of the Rings, you know, the Fellowship of the Ring, they have a cave troll.
Yeah.
Yes, we have a cave troll. And during the movie, when you start your movie, you hit play on the Scent Script app, and at those appropriate timestamps on the movie, it will release the scent into your room and give you smell-o-vision.
That is so cool. You don't even have to do it yourself. You can just set it up ahead of time, and it knows the runtime of the movie.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. And it'll do it to the timestamp of the movie. Obviously, when you pause the movie, you need to pause the scent script, but the two of them go together really easy. And then the third use case, because again, the library has a wide range of scents, many of which are good and interesting. We did put a passive air freshener mode so that when you're using it, you know, for gaming, that might be a couple times a month. In a movie, it might be once or twice a month. But hey, we would love to make it something that people could enjoy, and just having a unique Hobbit home, sort of, or halfling home for legal rights. If you want your house to smell like that, then this is another way to use the system. So those are the 3 big ways. And again, all of it is open source. So we're going to put it out there and let other people create different methods of controlling the scent engine. And if you want to
Cool.
build in some homebrew E5 sort of game rules, you can even, and we're working on some of this behind the scenes, just wink, wink, hint, hint. But in the future, there will be a Scented Realms kind of expansion where we have, you know, all sorts of content that we'll share. But before we did that, we wanted to put it out there to the world and let other people figure a lot of that stuff out and see what they come up with. So a web app that would allow the DM to press a scent event and then have it send a message to the other players at the table whose characters have feats, skills, weapons, abilities that give them a heightened scent perception. It will give you, let's say, Meg, a clue or many clues, or maybe just the straight answer of what the scent is before the DM even lets it into the room. So the character
Wow.
on the sheet of paper is talking to the human and giving them that extra kind of ability to say, hey guys, I smell orc or I smell goblins coming. And then it actually comes into the room. The scent plays another role of
Wow.
storytelling. Yeah.
So our
So that's all fun stuff.
characters can actually tell us things that we don't know that they do. That's
Yes.
amazing. I can't tell you how many times I've been like, well, I don't know the answer, but my character does, so let me ask the DM
Right?
real quick.
That's right. There's ways that you can play it in between. And at the beginning, it could be very, using our very simple system. We wanted to make it, it's a very hard job to be a dungeon master. And game mastering in general is an art and a science. So we wanted it to be as simple as you figure out your campaign for that upcoming session, that you set these scent events, and that just single button push gives you dwell time. And that means how long before the scent is released. So you might have 30 seconds of preamble, and then the scent is released. And then how long the scent is released is a factor of, if you want an environment, like you're going to be playing in the hills or mountains, let's say, you could release like 20 seconds, and that would put a pretty good scent note into the room, a 10 by 12 room, let's say. But if you're just doing creatures, or a quick flash of going into, let's say, the scent of the map maker is one we're working on. It's going to be like parchment paper, quill feather, black ink, these really earthy, cool smells. But that might only be a really short part of the game session.
Sure.
So you just release maybe 5 or 6 seconds, and that will dissipate fairly quickly. So it's a thing you can predetermine when you're loading it, and then when you're playing the game, it's just one button push.
That's incredible. So
Yeah.
what does the engine look like?
Yes, I have a sample here. This is, again, like
Yay!
everything, when you're first building something, it starts off, and I didn't bring the first prototype. I should have brought that. It was made out of hand cut out of black plastic, corrugated, and then shaped into, and that's some of the pictures we have on our campaign page. You'll see that shaped into what the basic design was. The important thing for us was form factor, trying to keep it as small as possible.
Sure.
And you can see there's a chamber that allows you to load the 8 scent vials into the chamber prior to the gameplay.
Wow.
And then once they're loaded in, then the motorized it's just an app push, and then it turns to the scent that you want. So you can go back and forth between scents once they're loaded in. So that's kind of the scent engine. It's actually going to be a little bit shorter than this for the final version. We're trying to miniaturize it to make it as small. If people want it on table, we want it to be as small as possible. But we also didn't want to overbrand it or anything, because we're sending some of these out, Meg, to great artists, painters that are going to do custom paint jobs on it to make it look like steampunk and like magic, engine and stuff. So we thought that would be fun to not overbrand it. Like, this is just a removable label. Yeah, you don't even have to put our label on it. You can just have it be without. So it'll be whatever you want it to be, not what we want it to be for you. But that was an important factor. And then creating the scent vials that go in it was a factor of having the dry wave material, enough of it so that it could fill a room quickly, and still be as small as possible. This is the original scent vials. They're going to be a little bit shorter than this. That's where part of the patent is coming into play for the scent vials, and we'll be able to release that when we send them out. But this is the working prototypes that we did all the testing off of. This is the scent of blood. For you who like horror, it's something you could put into a movie scent script around horror. And you can have things like the smell of fear is in the air, and it's that long tension building part of the movie where you could have a scent note come in, and really for memory making, scents attached to our memories really uniquely. The olfactory part of our brain is really close to the memory making. So if you watch it over time in movies, when you smell that smell, you'll know something is about to happen in the movie. The same goes, Meg, for DMs that want their players to straighten up a little and say, hey, guys, you're about to go into a hard part of this dungeon, a boss or a something, so they can put the scent of fear into the room first. And the players over time will know when the DM plays that scent, there's no more messing around. They're going to get bloody. Focus. Don't be playing around with your finger touching it. Use your 10-foot pole, whatever you got to do. So the fact that the DM always struggles with that play, reasonable fun, but also be serious, they can use some of these scent notes as cues to when to pay attention. That was some of the feedback we got.
That's incredible. As we do actually, I keep mentioning my husband Michael. He's our resident GM for our long form campaign, and he's in the chat right now. He wants you to know that Frank Castle would be proud, and he wants to paint one.
Hey, I would love it. We have some great people lined up, and if you're really honestly interested in that, when we get offline, we'll set that up for sure.
We'll definitely talk about that. And we do that with music. You listen to the scores of movies, and you can hear, like, as soon as that tone underneath that's like a minor chord, you're like, something's about to happen, and now you can just enhance that experience. That is so cool. Honestly, I had thought completely about TTRPGs because that's what we do here, and I had not even thought about applying that to watching movies as well. It would be way more than once or twice a month for us.
That's cool, and we have some some libraries that are going to be expanded outside of the classic high fantasy first library. We're going to do a sci-fi version. We're going to do a horror version, like you mentioned. And then in a dream, like where everything aligns perfectly, we'll have studios reaching out to us before they send home their home version to say, hey, do a special 8-pack for each movie release. Willy Wonka came out, Wonka, and we were like, oh, we could make such a cool pack for Wonka. But those licensing rights and trying to get through that legally and financially, it's really tough as a startup.
Absolutely.
But we're going places.
I'm so excited for you guys. I can't wait to see your products on shelves with Blu-rays. We did do retail packaging. This is Hobbit Home, which again we don't have the license rights for, so we had to change it to Halfling Home. That's an environment. This is an open sea box. So these are ones, this is Chromatic Dragon, which is a really great dragon scent note. And we made the packaging and the scent vials to be collectible so that people could own them over time. We have some cool ways you can display them on walls where you snap in the scent vials into these like wall displays. So that it can be a collector issue also, because like for the Kickstarter community that are believing in us when nobody else, retail, you can't just jump into retail. You have to get a community. So we appreciated everyone supporting us. So one of the things we just announced yesterday is that we're doing a Scent of Valor, which is a special blend. And it's going to be that kind of unique scent note that we will vault after the campaign and not sell ever again in that combination of scent notes with that art. And that way it kind of allows people to have collections that might eventually, go away, and people might like this version versus that version. And so we wanted it to be fun to collect, fun to show off, and then lots of different ways to use it. Well, and of course, TTRPG players are a lot of times collectors. We like to hoard our treasure, our minis and our dice. Scent vials is going to be the next thing.
one
Oh,
of the things
oh
that
my
we have
gosh,
is a
Jen.
decorative knob on the front of the device, and these come off and connect in, and you can get dragons, different gems.
Oh,
People will
sure.
be able to 3D print their own. We're gonna open source the connector so that when people want to, they can just print the connector, and then whatever they want, like their own logo or whatever they want to do. So we're going to keep as much open source as possible to give back to this community that's so creative, because many people own their own 3D printers now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like if you want to do your company or your team logo, like what you have on your shirt,
Hmm.
you could do something like that if you want.
Oh, we will. Although
Okay.
our 3D printer has been on the fritz for a while, we need a new
Oh,
one,
no.
but we'll get there. We'll
I'm going to
get
give a
there.
pro tip right now that I just found out, that local libraries have 3D printers oftentimes that they will let you do for free. So
Yes.
some game stores do that, but there's sometimes a charge. But many people go to the local library with their file, and they can print them out there for free. So again, giving
Yeah.
the ability to design something and then take it and print your own sort of unique
Yeah.
turn system, that's on there.
We live in pretty small town North Carolina, so I don't know if our libraries are there yet, but we do have a
Okay.
maker space in
Oh,
town
cool. Those
near
are
us
fun too.
that has access to stuff like that. So,
Yes,
you can
definitely.
always find it if you know where to look.
Yes.
Um,
Well, under those scenarios, we are working on a couple other versions. We have another version. This is the scent wand, and unfortunately, this is a stretch goal that we're probably not going to make on our first campaign. But what this allows is for games like Warhammer, or things that aren't where you're not worried as much about stealth, trying to get
mhm.
the scent into the room without the players knowing. This is a scent wand, and it basically allows you to take one of the scent vials and load it in to a handheld device that is really good just for quickly entering a scent into a game area. Again, you could use this for cosplay, for any sorts of different things, but you put it into the back, and then it allows you to, on 3 different settings, enter a scent into the room without a
Wow.
very much lower entry price point than the scent engine. Um, and it definitely works. So that's something that we're going to be doing in the future. And then one other method that we're going to have for DMs is a DM screen that has
Mm.
a way that you can put the scent vials into the DM screen and hot swap them while playing. So if you don't want to preload the scent engine, instead just have the DM screen, and we might make that as an open printable downloadable, basically, where we give the designs, and you buy a part package from us, and then you can print your own
Sure.
DM screen. Yeah, so that's something fun we're working on also.
Uh, would that also help people who might be a little overzealous and want to use more than 8 cents?
There's a lot of that, by having the DM screen set up to also have two blowers. You can scent overlay, where you can like have the scent of the crypt, and then on the table, because on that version you're broadcasting the scent across the tabletop,
Sure.
because the DM screen would be right there. But you could have the scent of the crypt, and then enter in a vampire or a ghoul or some other creature from that environment with the other blower, and kind of overlay them. That is something, again, that does require some dexterity and some, it will obviously be seen that the DM is moving things around. So we wanted to start out with something that was a little more
Sure.
stealth, so it would be more fun. But keep
Excellent.
on trying.
Oh my gosh, this all sounds so incredible. Tell me, what current scent out of your library is your favorite?
Yeah, it, it was so important to create things that were not just Yankee candles. And, I love that place, by the way. I'll go into the Yankee candle place, sniff all sorts of candles. But it was like, let's get more like real. How can we get as
Hmm.
real as possible? But not have it be like sulfur. You can't put
Yeah.
sulfur notes in there, even though a lot of things are sulfur described. It's just not an enjoyable scent note. An endless amount of fart jokes are available when you create something like this, by the way, and we've heard all of them. But the truth of it is, you can enter those in really small percentages. So if you say the smell of sulfur, or let's say like rotten fish for like a kraken or something like that,
Uh-huh.
if you keep the percent down to like 5 or 10% at max, it's just a hint. It's kind of like picking up a baby and then identifying it might need a diaper change. You're like, the baby smells so good. Oh, maybe not. So it's like mixing that. So when you ask my favorite, I think it's going to always be Red Dragon, because we were able to really nail it. And it's my favorite character from a lot of different fantasy things, and I know that's kind of like vanilla to say Red Dragon, but it just happens to be my favorite. It's unique enough that if you played it in your house as an environment, like as like the air freshener, people would be like, "What is that?" It's nothing like
Yeah.
you've smelled before, but it's not bad. It's kind of like just really interesting. So that's probably my favorite. And the tavern that we just came out with is really great. A lot of role-playing adventures start off in tavern environments. So
Mm-hmm.
we wanted to have a tavern. A marketplace one we're working on is really good. And a blacksmith environment. I swear, a friend used to make horseshoes with his grandpa, and they would literally make the horseshoes in the blacksmith kind of style. And he said, "Scott, you nailed it." Like the blacksmith memories he had when he smelled it, it was
Yeah.
just like right away. So those are a couple of my favorites.
Ah, so great. How long does each vial last typically?
Yeah, this is one that we almost got like some negative because of a positive, which is really strange. But the way that the scent dry wave scent technology works, it's infused, and you have to have a certain volume of beads basically infused to create the scent event in the room fast enough. So in that equation, we ended up with something that can last active use between 300 and 400 hours of active use, which is an insanely long period
That
of
is a
time of
really long
tabletop.
time.
Yeah, so if you don't, if you have the end caps off and it's actively being in the system, having, let's say, in an air freshener mode, you just set it up to work all month, and it's going to get activated several times during the day. You might go through a scent vial where the scent gets weaker as it dissipates over time. But the things people were saying is that, couldn't we go with one that's just only lasts 100 hours, or like only 50 hours, because you're only using it for a couple minutes now and
Yeah.
then. But it isn't as much how much it costs to how long it lasts. It's that in order to quickly fill the room without using any heat or
Mm-hmm.
carrier elements, we needed X amount of volume. And that volume just happens to last a really long time. So that's where we have kind of been working on some different ways to reduce our costs. Because right now, effectively, each scent vial is $14.99, and it lasts about 3 times longer than a candle that costs half as much, so, or twice as much.
Yeah.
So we really have a good value proposition. But some people in the comments in our online were asking, why did you have it last so long if you're only using it for a couple minutes at a time? And it was just a matter of the technology and the requirements of the quality uh,
Sure.
ran into each other. So yeah, they do last a long period of time. And if you store them, honestly, Meg, I mean, 10 years later, you could bust the thing out. And as long as you keep it stored. And right now we have these removable caps, but we're doing some really cool work to try to get it to look more like dripping wax, where the end cap will have a little more fantasy feel.
Yes.
That's a brand new, just announced for the first time ever right here. So
An
that we're trying to get it
exclusive right here on Level Up.
exclusive. Yes, sir. So we're trying to make it a little more fun. So when the end caps are on and you have it up on the display board, that it
Mm-hmm.
just looks like a whole bunch of magic items. And then if we do good work on the art and how sometimes it's hard to see, but the foil labels look really good. So hopefully people will be okay storing them up on their wall and building a library over many years that they can enjoy in movies and games.
Wow. Oh my gosh. I'm so tell me where to go because I'm headed to your
Yeah.
Kickstarter right now. How
Thank
long
you.
do people have and how can they support?
Yes, thank you so much, Meg. We have 7 days left of our campaign. We've already crushed it. We're really thankful. We had put some stretch goals out that were
Mm-hmm.
pretty out there for like the scent wand, just because there's a lot of upfront tooling costs for these things. Unfortunately, we put some goals out there, but we are at right now, I think, closing in on $140,000 with 7 days to go.
Wow.
If we get to $150,000, we'll unlock the last two free scent vials that we're offering up as stretch goals for the campaign. So if you go to Kickstarter and you look up Scented Realms, one word, you'll find us. And as we mentioned, we're a product we love. So if you look under that category, you can see it also. But we're going to be on there for 7 more days. And then we will also be doing some other methods. We're going into retail stores here in Southern California. And we'll be announcing some online purchasing. We also do have, if you're listening or if you know people who enjoy this, but it's not your thing, you can buy a subscription where each month they get 2 scent vials for either 3 months, 6 months, or a year. So you can buy it as a Christmas gift, and then every month they
Mm-hmm.
get two new
Mm-hmm.
scent vials that they get to add to their collection
Mm-hmm.
of whoever
Mm-hmm.
it is that's going to
Mm-hmm.
be using it. So a couple cool things that you can do to support us.
That's amazing. Too bad Michael is watching because that's probably what I'm going to get him for Christmas now. We also
Well,
have
we
another
can probably take
question
care of
in
you
the
guys. We'll
chat.
take care of you directly.
Will do. So we do have a question from the chat. Are
Yes.
these scent vials child and pet safe as well?
Yes. As far as, anything like that, you're always going to want to be super highly cautious with your kids and your pets. If you have any special conditions, scent allergies, things like that, please go to your doctor and get some, advice from that. But as far as any method of bringing scent into a room, dry wave is the safest because of the fact we do not have any carrier elements, wax,
Mm-hmm.
paraffin wax, aerosol, or like incense carry a burning element. Things like that trigger a lot of allergies. So
Yeah.
we're very, very safe.
I know you touched on that a little bit in the beginning, but we had
Yeah.
that specific question, so I wanted to get
Yes.
that out there as well.
Yes.
I know that you have another event to head to, so if you
Yes.
don't mind, I have a little game for us to
Let's
play.
go. Let's play.
So I'm gonna send you a series of images. So speaking of
Okay.
exclusives, this is an episode for exclusives because anybody
All right.
watching this episode right now, you're about to get some out of context game art from our upcoming long form campaign, Essentia. So this is a first peek at the new game art. So what I'll do is I'm going to bring it up on my screen here and I'm going to send it to you and
Okay.
you are going to tell me either from your library or from your imagination what the image smells like.
All right.
Sound good?
Oh goodness. Oh goodness. All right. You
All
got me
right.
here on the
So we have some locations
screen.
and we have a couple characters. Our first is I mean, I can't even tell you what it is because I'm playing in the campaign, so I'm not allowed to know. It
All
was
right.
literally just sent to me. But here we go. Here's our first image.
Oh wow. That's really beautiful. Um, is that of the environment that we are talking, or the character into the environment?
Whichever strikes your fancy. This particular one
Yeah.
is a location. We do have two specific
Okay.
characters that are separate from the location images. So I think he was going
Yeah.
more for environment with this one. Michael, you're in the chat. You can correct me if I'm wrong. But honestly, like I
Yeah.
said, whatever answer comes to mind.
Yeah, a scent note creation is an art, and we work with probably one of the best scent creators on the planet. And we're working through all the licensing stuff to be able to fully acknowledge him as part of it. But I will tell you, in learning things, you look at colors, you look at uh, clues in the image, but we would take a lot of you know fungal, has some interesting scents, ranges of scents that you can pull in, kind of that magic mushroom look to this picture
Mm-hmm.
makes me think of that. You could add in some high scent notes of like lavenders and things like that because the colors obviously pull you
Yeah.
into that. But you also want to add some base notes, so like elements of like earth, rock, different metals and things like that. So we would probably take this and experiment with some of those scent notes, and try to create something. Again, environments are especially in
Yes.
fantasy world, you have to almost go off the normal chart.
Well, it's amazing that you pulled fungal out first because there are so many mushrooms all over this campaign.
Yeah.
Uh, in fact, let's go ahead and get our first character here, who is a
Okay.
mushling. So
Hey,
let me
there
send
you
that to
go.
you real quick.
Okay.
Boom! Look at him. He's
Great.
so cute. Little
Oh,
mushroom
heck
guy.
yeah. You bet, you bet. And he gives you quite a bit of clues uh, off his existence, that we would definitely stay strong in that same environment. We would focus in more on maybe one particular scent note from that,
Mm-hmm.
rather than trying to create a whole orchestra of scents that an environment gives you. We start narrowing it down on creatures. He is it lizard in nature, or is it like a? I'm sorry, I have to lean in on my screen all the
No
time.
worries. I know
So,
it's small for you.
yeah, it's
He's a
small.
Mychonid, so he is a
Okay.
mushroom person. Is that a good
Yes.
description, Michael? You can
Yeah.
help me out there, but it is a Mychonid, and he is fungal based.
Yeah. So we would grab wood has some wood has a
Mmm.
range of smells, either raw wood, fresh cut wood, burnt wood, dry wood, all those different ones. But we would probably bring in some notes like that, for because wood always does work well. And then maybe some linens that we have special, since his cape is pretty pronounced. We would probably mix in those three,
Yeah.
and normally trying to take three different scent notes and then doing ratios is a good way for us, because a lot of things will have like leather. Well, leather has a lot of different smells in its own right, aged leather
Mm-hmm.
versus fresh leather and things like that. But we take care to not have everything smell the same. So we actually use an AI program to help us make sure we're doing that on a range of scents. But with this little cute character, we would probably focus again on the mushrooms, a couple of the wood scent notes, and then maybe something for his cape.
Oh, that's incredible. All right, you ready for the next one?
Yes.
Okay. We only have 5, so not many
Okay.
more.
Yeah.
Here we
No problem.
go. So this is another location.
Oh yeah. All right. And looking at that one again, you're still underground, it looks like, or no, right? That might be opening up into the open sky. So this would be more cave-like. So again, carrying in notes of stone, you get into some of the mists and stuff that we could
Mm-hmm.
probably pull in more of the gases. But that one would be again probably more stone, and maybe I don't know why I get this feel of like there's a little bit of aqua in there somewhere, where we would maybe pull in some salts. It might be
Yeah.
something like that we could add in some salts.
And it looks like there's almost like some candles burning there too.
Yeah.
See
Obviously,
something
anytime that
warm.
you can take a standard, notes like vanilla and things like
Mm-hmm.
that people think of candle right away. If you want to draw them that direction, you can carry that as a higher percent, and it'll give a more of a mystic feel and things like that.
Cool. Okay. Our next character.
Yes.
Do-do-do. This is a saurian.
Oh yes. Definitely getting into the
Mm-hmm.
reptile scent notes. And I'm so sad and happy to have had the joy of owning a fancy bearded dragon, one of the best pets. I would highly recommend to anybody out there. And there are certain, if you've ever owned a lizard, there are certain scents that go along with it, some positive, some negative. But we draw in on those, so we would probably go pretty heavily to the reptile. We have scents from literal like crocodiles, snakes, alligators are different than that. We had this amazing instruction on how you can pull those slight differences and still be in the range of, like, snakes and lizards smell slightly different. If you've
Mm-hmm.
ever owned both, they have different scent notes. So we would definitely, go in that direction. And then, you know, anytime you have an intelligent creature like that, you can start to use things like the metals for weaponry.
Mm-hmm.
You can use lacquers, depending if they have like shields and things like that, or certain finishes for hardened leather armor require curing scents. So we would probably pull some
Right.
of those in for the manufactured armor.
That makes total sense. All right,
Yeah,
last one. And
sure.
my personal favorite. This is another environment
Okay.
image.
Oh wow.
Hmm.
So that gets ethereal. I'm sorry, I'm so weirdly close to the camera there.
Oh,
That gets into some real flight of fancy. So we might go more into like your classic stoner, sense of incense and mystic fantasy. Not as much grounding it, but taking it more ethereal, higher scent
mm-hmm.
notes. We might hit some flower, but we try to avoid those as much as possible because so many candles carry flowers. But what I'd love to hear is, what do you think? One of the best things that we do is we also allow people, we've built this scent syndicate where we're partnering with some of the community builders, and they'll have a major creature or a boss or an environment, and then we challenge them. We have Tabletop Witchcraft is an incredible miniatures and game developer, and he created a diorama of haunted house. So we have this exclusive scent syndicate, scent of the haunted house, and he put all those scent notes together. So I'd actually like to challenge you, Meg. What would you say this draws out in your mind's eye for
Woo.
what it would smell like?
Well, the expansiveness of it and the clouds make me think something very airy, very
Uh-huh.
fresh.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely look like there's a lightning component, so something that smells like
Sure.
crisp underneath.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like and maybe even
definitely.
slightly burnt.
Have you ever smelled ozone?
No.
Ozone is a thing that's like, and people say it's near scentless, but it carries that exactly what you just talked about, some kind of almost air metallic-y smell. So there are some different, like,
Yeah.
lighter gases that you can attach in small amounts along with some higher scent notes. So like for Gold Dragon, we're not actually supposed to talk about the scent notes for the Dragon collection, but I will tell you one of the things that we put in there at the very high end, 10%, is pineapple, a really sweet high fruit scent, but along with some metals and some earth notes, so that when you get these total collection, you just get this little bit of sweet in your scent palette. So like with yours in this thing, like when you say lightning strike, lightning is an electrical event in the environment that causes, like, if you've been outside in the rain and you smell that, rain kind of electricity, that you
Mm-hmm.
could pull that scent note into it for sure.
That is so cool. uh James really wants to know what his character smells like, but I'm not sure that I have a picture handy. Where's your old art, James? Do you have it on you? Because I don't have it up, and I don't know if we're
Heroes.
ready to share our new character art yet. We have them, but we haven't.
Well, heroes are great because you can take personal things there. We had another Syndicate member, which is named Snot Goblin, and he makes a configurable terrain for tabletop work hammer, and but his logo is this obnoxious little miniature goblin with his finger up his nose and everything like that. So we were saying to him, well, tell us, what is this? What would it smell like? He's like, well, this is a city dwelling subspecies of goblin that would be more affiliated to like rats that run around the backs of alleys and taverns and stuff. So he picked like scent notes of like garlic breadstick, kumquat, and then like some of the dirt and stuff, because he's like, what would you be smelling like if you're ravishing all the backs of like different restaurants and things in his world? So it was just like so random, but if you smell it, it's
Yeah.
like, it's unique.
I
If
mean,
you smell
you
that,
said
it's a
rat
snot
and you
goblin.
said garlic breadsticks, and I went pizza rat.
Exactly. So I would love if you have a hero, it would be like, does that hero often dipping into chewing tobacco or pipe weed or
Hmm.
drinking an ale or a mead? And then also, what sorts of armor do they wear? Because metals smell different, and we
Sure.
want to identify that for the, a fully armored knight is going to smell much different than a barbarian.
Very true. I don't think
Yeah.
Vigo wears armor because he's a very fancy gentleman. He
All
likes
righty.
to dress very well. Michael
Yes.
suggested he might smell like paranoia and charm.
All right, that works. Those two together in court are always a healthy mix you want to have in there. A lot of perfumed gentlemen in court, so you could add some actual clones and perfume to it. You can add scents to all sorts of things. We're actually working on trying to get spice dice, which are scented dice.
Ooh.
That we're working on infusing some scents into collections of dice that people can have as just a unique thing. But we
I
would love
must
to
have
be able to
them.
find something special for you guys. If you end up having a hero character or a god character, we could even maybe come up with something for you.
Oh, that would be incredible. We'd love that. We love our long form characters. We can't wait to play them again.
Oh, it's so
Uh,
cool.
so we are just about out of time. Do you want to let people know where they can find you on socials to follow for
Yeah,
all the future stuff after the Kickstarter?
you bet. It's just Scented Realms, one word. We're on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook. We're obviously new, so we're still gaining followers and
Us too.
learning how to properly. Yes, congratulations on 500, by the way.
Thank
Very cool.
you.
Yes, yes. So we're on there, but right now, Kickstarter is pretty exclusive. When you launch your product, you can't be selling it in retail and other
Hmm.
locations. So right now, it's on Kickstarter proper. If you put in Scented Realms, you'll find us hopefully. And in the last 7 days, we have some really cool different ways to hopefully incentivize the community to get us to that 150 mark. In doing that, everybody that buys the scent engine will get 9 scent vials, 4 that they get to choose, and then the 4 stretch goals plus the scent of valor for sticking with us and helping us build this really cool product.
Wow, that sounds like a very good deal. So everybody should go
Yeah.
do that.
Thank
Thank
you,
you
thank
so
you.
much, Scott, for being here.
You
Uh,
bet.
this has been so fascinating. I could probably keep talking to you about it for hours, but we
Well,
won't keep
thanks.
you because I know you got other things to do. Thank you so much. And thank you
You
guys
bet.
for watching. If you are catching this on YouTube later, don't forget to subscribe. We're here every other Wednesday on Level Up. Next episode, 2 weeks from today, we will have Dice Coven on, showing off some of her handmade dice. So we're very excited about that. You can find us on TikTok as well, and Facebook and Instagram, Grimstone Gaming, and then on YouTube and Patreon is Grimstone Gaming Group. Merch shop is open. Go do it, and never stop playing. Night,
That's right.
guys.